Joey, what's your first crack?
Well, my first crack was from the MCG today, and it's the Sydney Swans. We're at round 11, the team that played in the grand final last year, and their season's over. They will not be playing finals this year. I can't see them, the way they are playing right now, winning 9 of their last 12 games. And it's a fair fall from grace for a team that were the darlings of the competition last year, and rightly so. They were playing some outstanding football. They had 3 of the top 10 players in the competition playing at an elite level. But today, the 53-point margin probably didn't do it justice. The Demons broke their spirit today. They broke their heart, and I think in doing so, have broken any hope of them playing finals this year. I just think there's too many issues going on with their list profile, too many issues with the way they're playing this year, too many inconsistencies. But don't just hear it from me. Let's take a listen to Coach Dean Cox on these exact situations.
Our inconsistencies are way too frequent in games and week to week. So that's where we've got to get to work to do it. It's as plain and simple as it can be. And then come in with a mindset that no matter where you are, whatever position you're in, you fight to the end. And we didn't do that. This is nothing to do with injuries. This is about the way we're playing. And at the minute, we are inconsistent in facets of our game. We're good for a period, we drop away the next time, then something else comes to be okay. I think when you're in a position like this, you look at your whole list. And we need to make those decisions. You know, we've had players go back and play VFL. That might happen again.
I think injuries are a reason, particularly when you're missing some of the quality they are. But I think what the injuries have also exposed is a bit of a soft underbelly with some of the other players that maybe for the last 18 months have maybe hung on the coattails of some of these players, and now when they've needed to step up, haven't stepped up to the level. I mean, I'm looking at guys like Ollie Florin and Will Hayward and some of these players that are meant to be in the prime of their career, that when there are injuries, they can take on the man and say, right, I can help step up. And we haven't seen it enough from some of those players, Braden Campbell, Hayden McLean, Sam Wicks. They've also got a lot of older players. So you mentioned Carlton's clip. They've got 7 or 8 guys now that are going to be 32 and over that are past their best. When you think about Rampy, Grundy, Taylor Adams, Robbie Fox, Jake Lloyd, you can't expect much more from these guys who are depth players. And some of their depth as well is now being exposed and given opportunity. But you start to wonder how good they are. And just amazing. You talk about how quickly things can change in football. 12 months is a long time in football. And they had their opportunity last year. That was their fairy tale for John Longmire's last year, the way they were playing to win the premiership. Now, I think it's a long way off for them. I know they can bounce, we say that, but it is so hard to get there again. With all these other teams coming along, it's a wasted year for the Sydney Swans. There's been circumstances around it, but they haven't helped themselves with the way they've played. You can see it in Dean Cox, how disappointing he is with their performance this year. They've been one of the biggest disappointments of the season, no doubt about that, Joey. Hey, what about Keziah Pickett today? Now, when the Demons picked Keziah Pickett, what was pick 12, they thought they had another Cyril Rioli on their hands, and we saw a special performance from the live wire today. He looked in all-Australian form today. 24 possessions, 9 shots on goal, 6 clearances as well. He was absolutely electric. He was clean and he was fast. Now, Joey, I know Fremantle are into this man. Melbourne are crazy to trade him. Right, Brad Green said 3 first-round picks. That is absolutely the asking price. Unless they can get Luke Jackson, Josh Tracy or Jai Amos, I would not be giving this bloke up for anything less than 3 first-round picks. He's 23 and doing stuff like that and looks like he could become a top 5 player in the competition. Yeah, you said 9 shots a goal. It was 10 because you forgot about the torp that he had from outside 50 right. That went out of bounds. It was one of the most magical performances that you've seen. It had everything, didn't it? It had the full dice. I mean, he was hitting the post. He was kicking some spectacular goals. It was brilliant. I think he's ascending to a top 10 player in the competition. From what we've seen from him this year, there are very few players that can do what he does, and he was a shining light in a game that was pretty scrappy and hard fought, but he stood out. What about the tag? Where did James Jordan go, King?
He went to Jake Bowie, and I think this is a real feather in this kid's cap. I just wanted to put this on the radar. To get to this level like he has so quickly, and when we talk about tag, we're talking about tag. Yeah. Yep. That is a tag. Yep. I'm in your back pocket, literally. And he had to handle that, and I'll take my hat off to the kid. He had 17 disposals, just the 4 intercepts today, so he had 10 last week against Brisbane, but now you're on the radar. Now you've got to work it out. So have a look here. Jordan's got stuck on the bench, and Callum Mills took that responsibility. Well, guess what? That is not the Sydney Swans. You got to see that job through. And then James Jordan, you got moved on to Pickett. First bounce of the 3rd term. He's your man. You're locked onto him. He's your man. He's your tag. He's the hottest man on the field at the moment. And then they just drop off. and they just fall asleep. They're just little things that have crept in at Sydney, which is what Joey's talking about, that have given luxuries to the opposition, and good players make you pay. So, two parts to that. Cozzy, well done on his performance, and Bowie, well done to be recognised by the competition, but it's only going to get tougher for the young fella from here.
Yeah, it will, and that's fair enough. He's had a great year, but I think we want to give credit to Melbourne. That was as good as I've seen Melbourne play in probably 18 months. Their tenacity around the footy, their contest, their handball stuff that you've been talking about, Kingy's gone to another level, and because they are moving the ball with more freedom, led by Jake Bowie off half-back and the kids, Lindsay and Langford, and Salem was brilliant. All of a sudden, the forward line looks much more open. There's more options. Everyone's getting shots at goal. They're all cashing in. So you mentioned Simon Goodwin last week, and you gave him praise and how he's answered the critics. Well, they're on a roll now, and they get St Kilda next week up at the top end. They can win that as well and be knocking on the door of the 8. They are playing. They are back to the footy of a team when they were playing in prelims and grand finals a few years ago.
It's a reset happening right before our eyes. I still say it. In 18 months' time, they'll be there again.
And well done to the club for holding fat when it did get tough, when it did get rocky early in the season over those first 5 losses, right? It's time for Health is your best player thanks to HBF Health Insurance. Let's have a look at this incident between Callum Mills and Charlie Spargo of Melbourne, because Callum Mills is in his comeback game, and then this happened. That is a high jump, clear contact to the head, and that is likely to be a 3-match holiday there for Callum Mills, which is such a disappointing outcome for a man who's been out for so long with injury, and now potentially, or now will be suspension as well. That's a fair blow and a frustrating moment for the Sydney fan base.
Yeah, look, it's just unacceptable, really, for one of your leaders who he's been absent for so long to do that, because there's some passages of play, and we'll just show him at a stoppage here, where he actually helps his teammates out just through his sheer presence, being on the field and being able to put a block on for Isaac Heaney, who was, I think, well covered by Rivers most of the day. Like, he got away from him around goals a couple of times. But plays like this, just to put a block on to get the superstar free. And that's all he needs, Isaac Heaney. So there's not a lot the tagger can do about this, but try and fight through it. So there's two sides to it. Well done, Isaac, to get out of this sort of day with a 3-goal game. But I thought the Rivers move was really important and something they should really continue to explore. He was in at a stack of centre bounces, 22 centre bounces today. So I just hope that when Viney comes back, he just doesn't naturally replace this guy.
Where
he gets
does he
opportunity.
fit?
I don't know where he fits, but I think they've got to prioritise these guys now, the younger brigade that are looking to take over some more responsibility at this footy club.
I hope Goody continues to go down that path. So he chose Dan Turner at the back line instead of Tom McDonald. He could have gone to Tom McDonald, you know what you're going to get, but he goes, no, and Turner looked pretty good. He's improving when he's got May and Lever beside him. Viney to come back is interesting, because I think the mix in the midfield looked elite with Rivers and Cozzy Pickett in there, of course, Petrarca. Salem had a few centre bounces. So I maybe want to see Jack Viney play more as a half forward. Why not just get him becoming, scrapping and fighting and winning contests and tackle in the forward 50, which they can get some help, might allow Cozzy to, do a few more tricks and create some opportunities. But no, they're going nicely, the D's.
Certainly would apply that defensive pressure. Chad Warner, you've picked up on something, and his threat beyond 50, Kingy, you like him from long range.
I do. And the stats over the last 4.5 years, so since the start of 2021, I want to have this discussion with you, because I think too many players are balking because of the 50-metre arc. OK, the competition says you're a 30% chance from there. From long range. That's the AFL average this season. The top 4 or 5 players in the competition in that last 4.5 years has Chad Warner in it. He goes at 40%. He's more likely to kick a goal from that position than he is to find a pass and have that converted into a goal. So I think he should be given the licence to light it up. Mason Redman's another one who goes at nearly 50% from the arc. So I'm saying don't bother passing. Have a go. Light it up. You talked about the torpedo before. Why not? Yes, it's low percentage, but so's trying to find a pass. Walker, you can see there, he's kicked the most goals in that period, and Charlie and Joe are in that discussion as well. Clearly, they're the best over the last 4 years, but they're only marginally higher than the AFL average of 31%. So I'm saying to Chad, no more passing. You see the stripe, you have a go.
I think Charlie Curnow's in the same boat. I showed the numbers of Carlton's inside 50 kicks. He's one of the worst when he actually tries to do the team thing and pass it. He's a much better chance and a high percentage of kicking a goal if he wheels from anywhere inside 60 and has a crack at it.
And be prepared to fail. You're going to fail 7 out of 10 times, 6 out of 10 times.
How's it going to go down with the coach, though?
Forget the coach. He's got to take control.
It's all analytics, JZ.
Analytics.